At first, there's a pause in the rhythm. Most people don't realize how quickly communication becomes a habit. A message here, a reply there, a good morning text, a late night check in. It doesn't feel important in the moment, but over time it creates familiarity. And when that familiar pattern suddenly stops, the silence stands out. Not because it's powerful in itself, but because it's different. In the beginning, she'll likely assume nothing serious has changed. He's busy. He'll text later. Life continues normally, but as time passes and nothing arrives, the mind naturally starts looking for explanations. That's what human brains do. They try to fill in missing information, and silence doesn't give answers. It creates space. That space leads to questions, not dramatic ones at first, just simple curiosity. Why the change? Why the distance? What's different now? But here's where reality matters more than the fantasy version of this idea. Those thoughts don't automatically create attraction or obsession. They simply create uncertainty. And uncertainty can go in many directions. It can increase interest, reduce it, or make someone emotionally detached completely, depending on the situation, the connection, and how strong things were to begin with. What actually influences attraction long term isn't silence alone. It's the overall experience someone has had with you. When a person feels you have your own life, your own direction, and you're not constantly overinvested, that can create respect. Not because you disappeared, but because your life doesn't revolve around constant validation. On the other hand, if connection is replaced only with distance and unpredictability, it doesn't build attraction, it builds confusion. And confusion doesn't always lead to connection. Sometimes it leads to disinterest. A healthier way to understand this is balance. People are drawn to those who are present but not dependent, interested but not overwhelming, available but not always at the cost of their own priorities. That balance creates stability, and stability is what actually allows attraction to grow over time. Silence on its own isn't a strategy, it's just absence. What matters more is what your life looks like during that absence. If you're growing, working, building something, improving yourself, then your attention naturally becomes more meaningful because it's not freely scattered everywhere. But if silence is used as a tactic to trigger a reaction, it often does the opposite. It turns connection into guessing games. There's also another side people ignore: emotional maturity. Strong connections aren't built on making someone wonder where they stand. They're built on clarity, consistency, and mutual effort. A person who is genuinely interested won't need psychological pressure to stay engaged. And someone who isn't invested won't suddenly become committed just because you pulled away. What distance really does is reveal reality, not create attraction. It shows whether interest was mutual or one-sided. It shows whether communication was meaningful or just habit. It shows whether both people were aligned or simply filling time. And that's the part most people misunderstand. When you step back, you're not triggering obsession. You're seeing the truth of the connection without interference. Sometimes that truth brings people closer, sometimes it doesn't. But the strongest position you can actually hold isn't silence as a tactic, it's self-respect as a baseline. Being able to give attention freely when it's mutual and stepping back naturally when it isn't, without games or emotional pressure. Because in the end, what lasts isn't unpredictability. It's not absence. It's not guessing. It's the kind of connection where both people don't have to disappear to be valued.